Daniel Sports Central be giving you guys my college football playoff predictions for the 2022 college football season. And as we look forward to week one coming up here this weekend, these are going to be my predictions, my official predictions for the college football playoff as we head into this season. So, of course, this offseason wrapping up, we've done many predictions, and we predicted almost every team in the Power 5. And this is where things have settled as we head into the 2022 college football season. So that said, let's get to our predictions here today. We're going to start off with number one, which may not be much of a surprise here. It's going to be the Alabama Crimson Tide. I just think Crimson Tide in the end, Alabama, that's a team with just tremendous depth. They're the dynasty of college football right now. I mean, if you thought they were good in 2021, I think 2022 is going to be no doubt even better for Alabama. This is a team that, I mean, Bryce Young, it was just his first season as the starting quarterback for Alabama, and this team was outstanding last year, made it to the national title, lost to Georgia in the end, but it was just Georgia's year. And the Bulldogs, with their talent, their defense, they deserved it last year, but Alabama is, I think, going to be the team to really keep an eye on and probably my favorite to win the national title in this 2022 season. I mean, Bryce Young, if he's even better, which I expect him to be, plus, I mean, he got the depth on both sides of the ball and the talent. I mean, offensively and I mean even defensively, this team looks outstanding to say the least, and there's a reason why Alabama is expected to be one of, if not the main contender to win the college football playoff heading into the season. So, got them at number one. Number two is going to be Ohio State, and I've mentioned this past offseason, and it's not a very unique prediction here. I mean, Alabama and Ohio State, I think these are your two teams that are really going to be the main contenders to win the national title this season. I think this could be Ohio State's year for sure. I mean, C.J. Stroud and that offense, I mean, of course, they lost a couple of the receivers with Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, but they still got a lot of depth in the receiving core. You got Jackson Smith and the Jig Book coming back, who turned out to be the best receiver, or the best statistically, in the receiving core last season. So Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, despite being simply outstanding receivers, weren't even neither of them were even the top in the receiving core last season for the Buckeyes. So Ohio State and Alabama are the clear top two for me. And honestly, after that, I mean, you got multiple other teams that could fill in 3 through 6. And for me, number 3, this may come as a surprise to some of you, but it's going to be Oklahoma State. The Cowboys are a team that I really actually, I think they're pretty underrated going to the season. I mean, if you look at their 2021 season, this is a team that, I mean, they missed out on the college football playoff literally by inches, because if you remember that Baylor-Oklahoma State Big 12 title game, I mean, Oklahoma State got up towards that goal line and barely missed getting a touchdown there at the end, which would have probably sealed the deal for Oklahoma State. So for the Cowboys to barely miss out, I mean, they win that game, they're in the college football playoff and they're Big 12 champions. So, I mean, that's just a brutal way to end the season last year, but I think this team has got a chip on their shoulder after that 2021 season. And, I mean, Spencer Sanders, he's got to improve. He's got to be a better quarterback, and I really do think he will be. This team has got experience, and I think people are overlooking this team. People are saying Baylor is going to come back and they're going to make the college football playoff this year, but I think Baylor disappoints a bit, and Oklahoma is a team that obviously is usually up there, but I do think OU, being a team that's got a few adjustments, which a few significant adjustments for that matter with coaching and the quarterback situation, I think in the end, Oklahoma State is their Big 12 champion, and I think the Cowboys go on to make it to the college football playoff. So, that'd be quite a matchup there between Ohio State and Oklahoma State if that were to happen. So once again, I think Oklahoma State's a bit overlooked. That's a team that should be, I'd say, a pretty big contender this season. Number 4 is going to be Clemson, the Tigers. This is my projected ACC champion. And honestly, number 4 could definitely be an ACC team. It could be a Pac-12 team, for all we know. I'm pretty sure, though, number 3 is going to be a Big 12 team. I mean, there's a chance we see 2 SEC teams in here. I can't imagine we'll see 2 Big 10 teams, unless someone in the Big 10 West comes out and just plays outstanding, which I'm not really expecting. But, I mean, Oklahoma State, number 3, makes a lot of sense to me. Clemson at number 4, or a Pac-12 team, also makes a lot of sense. I mean, you got NC State also in that ACC. I mean, Wake Forest could be decent. But I think Clemson, the way they improved over the course of the 2021 season, they started out in 2021 kind of a mess. They were a bit inexperienced, and you could easily tell that. And so going into 2022 here, that's a team that improved once again quite a bit over the course of the 2021 season. So I think they take that, and they are even better in the 2022 season. They start out hot, and from there they get to the college football playoff once again. So Clemson number 4, and I mean that's also a pretty conditional prediction there. I mean, it really depends on DJ Uiagalelei. I mean, if he improves, which I do expect him to, I mean, Clemson should be okay. But if Uiagalelei turns out to be inconsistent like he was at many points last season, it will be tougher for Clemson to be a big contender. Maybe they take a loss down the stretch, which will prevent them from making the top 4. Number 5, this is going to be Utah. The Utah Utes, this is a team that I think is clear in a way the favorite for me to make the college football playoff out of the Pac-12. Now, they're my favorite to win the Pac-12 for sure. I mean, Oregon's, they'll be decent, but I'm not very confident in Bo Nix. I really like Cam Rising and Utah going into the season. They've got tremendous potential, tremendous talent coming back. I mean, that team will be experienced going into the season. Of course, they got to get past Florida in week 1 first, though. I mean, I predicted Florida to beat Utah in week 1. I mean, it might come back to be a terrible prediction, but in the end, I just think, I mean, Utah's a team that, I mean, maybe they let down just a little bit. They're expected to be in the college football playoff by many websites, many analysts, and I think in the end they're going to be a great team. I'd be stunned if Utah wasn't at least a 9-10 win team, but in the end I do think they barely miss it, making the college football playoff. Even though, once again, wouldn't be surprised one bit if they did crack the top 4 in the end. Number 6 is going to be Georgia. The Bulldogs could also be a top 4 team in the end. Maybe the SEC sneaks 2 teams in the case that Clemson takes a loss and Utah takes a loss, despite winning their conferences. That very well could happen. We could easily see, Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia in the top 4 again. But the Bulldogs, I do think in the end take 1 or 2 losses over the course of the season. They're going to be a great team once again, but I do think in the end they won't win the SEC. That's going to be Alabama this season. So there's your top 6. This is what I'm predicting. I mean, I predicted in the preseason before predicting all these teams back in late January or early February. And I kept Oklahoma State at 3. I'm still confident in that. I swapped Utah and Clemson. I had Utah at number 4 far in the preseason. So there's a couple of changes here, but this is what I've got for our predictions as we head into the season. Something I do want to note as well is that starting in week 4 or 5 or so, we'll be making updated college football playoff predictions as we go about the season, and then bowl projections will start roughly week 5, week 6. So you guys heard that here first. First 5 out for the college football playoff. Here's what I got. I got Michigan at 7. I think Michigan is the second best team in the Big Ten this season. I think Ohio State ends up winning the division, but Michigan won't be too far behind. Oklahoma's number 8. I think OU is a team that will be runner-up of the Big 12. Once again, I do think Baylor does disappoint just a bit, and Oklahoma in the end takes that spot at number 8. But Sooners are definitely a team that I wouldn't be surprised with a chip on their shoulder probably going into the season. We could see the Sooners in the college football playoff once again. I do like Dylan Gabriel as a quarterback and Venables as a coach. Texas A&M's my number 9. That team has got the best recruiting class going into the 2022 season. But in the end, Texas A&M, I'm not very confident in their quarterback situation. So I'm going to keep them out. Oregon's number 10 and USC's number 11. Honestly, Oregon and USC, one of those teams is going to be good. I mean, I think USC turns out to be a pretty decent team. Of course, Caleb Williams and that whole offense, Lincoln Riley, they're looking very improved. Travis Dye, the amount of transfers that have gone on to USC, like high-profile transfers, it's pretty outstanding what USC has done. And so I think USC honestly could be 10 and Oregon could be 11. But we'll see what happens. I mean, USC has been a team that's really disappointed in the past, so I'm a bit cautious on them. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and your predictions for the college football playoff as we head into the season. I appreciate you guys watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.